When I was a little kid, I was trouble.
All right, this is off to a great start.
Who can honestly say they got a ticket the first time they drove the car when they were 16?
Cannot say that. First time.
Only one of us, the first time.
So you waited till you got your license to get your first ticket. That's what I'm picking up.
Nice. Did you beat that?
No.
I'm not disclosing anything.
Oh gosh.
All right, here
No
we go.
self-incrimination here.
I'm gonna do the proper intro, and we can use some of the Ray Hespen hair stuff from the previous recording.
I was gonna say, is that lost forever?
No. We recorded it.
I was vibing on that.
Well,
we got it.
I mean, there's going to be, if we just promote Ray Hespen's hair, people will log in. It might be the greatest episode ever.
Jacob, this one's going to be called
post-production. We need a bunch of still shots like popping up.
I mean, that could be his logo. Just his spiked hair could be his logo.
That's a great idea.
Could be. It's very recognizable.
Logo. It's got to have the 2-day scruff, the spiked hair, and like 4 or 5, like just a little sprout.
Oh no! He has no sprouts on his chest. I mean, that is.
But his shirt's unbuttoned.
That's cut. Yeah, that's cleaned up. Yeah,
that's the waxed. That's the waxed part.
I totally wish Ray was here to.
Right. We'll have to send this clip regardless.
Feel a little guilty railing him while he's not here, but not like super guilty.
This is the thing: you should never say anything that you wouldn't say to him.
Totally agree.
Right?
No, he would. He would be eating this up.
He'd be right in on it.
So he'd be eating this up just like I ate up steak at his house. And that's the story I was going to tell. I went to MX Summit because a month prior, he was texting me. He's like, you coming to my thing? And I'm like, I hate to break it to you. I'm not a Property Meld user like I used to be. And then we consolidated our tech stack. And he's like, you're coming to my thing. So then I went because he promised to make me a steak. And I'm extremely caffeine sensitive. I don't drink anything with caffeine. And his secret ingredient was coffee grounds.
No way.
So there's coffee grounds on both sides of the steak. And I'm watching this and my brain's not connecting. Guess when it connected? 3:30 a.m.
When you finally went to bed?
No, I never went to bed. I never went to bed. 3:30 a.m. is when I pulled out my phone. I said, screw it. I'm playing video games. This is not happening tonight. But it was the best steak I've ever had.
Yeah, he's famous for that. I don't know. Maybe he's more. I don't know if he's more famous for his hair or his steak. So
I'd have to have that for breakfast.
He's also famous for all the posts about South Dakota being undefeated. If I see undefeated one more time, well, no, I'm throwing it back at him because we got rain in Arizona, and I texted Ray immediately. Arizona undefeated today. Undefeated today. That was like so we got this battle going.
You know, you're hitting a lot of the conferences these days. I see you.
You're everywhere.
You're everywhere. You're all over.
You're everywhere. What's
all
going
over my
on?
social media?
I mean, you were even in Birmingham, southern states. You're not in the South, Mark.
Yeah.
You're not in the South, but you were here.
Southern states.
We wanted to know what the secret was down here.
That's right.
I did. Yeah,
Well,
you got
in the
good
water.
people down there. Yeah, so you're trying to out me, about how much I'm struggling with my self-worth. I got to be out like trying to make friends with everybody. That's been a big driver actually. So and like I'm working through that. Like if I show you all my journaling and stuff. And this is a little deep, so maybe we want to keep it a little more like light.
No, we like deep.
Let's go.
I mean, when you have a shallow co-host like I do, you got to get some deep guests.
So in case, depending on how this gets edited, the first thing I said on this recording, which may or may not make post-production, was that it took Matt 90 seconds for the first insult towards Spencer, and I'd already had an over-under with myself. It was going to be the first 60 seconds. But then I also mentioned that I aspire to be in that inner circle where I get insulted. So yeah, why don't I get really vulnerable so you got fodder to insult me? Should we do that?
Let's do it.
Do it.
So yeah, so I think one thing that I've really been thinking about lately is this trying to extract the performative self, like trying to. Alex Hermosi, I read this thing like a year ago, and he's like, am I using my business to meet stop using your business to meet your emotional needs, right? And what I realized recently, by the way, Claude AI is a fantastic therapist. Like it's one of the fastest trending increased use cases of AI. So I use Claude for therapy. And then I pay my real therapist to read the conversations, and then I get more for my money. And so like I'm talking to Claude 3 nights ago at like 1 a.m, and I'm realizing, so Alex Hormozi, he says, are you just using your business to meet your emotional needs? And if I'm being completely honest, like that's a big part of my story for the last 20 years. I like at some point during my childhood or whatever, I connected like I matter because I'm smart. And then eventually when I started a business, it's like my business has to reach certain numbers for me to be smart, for me to matter. And then what happened is there's this desperation that entered the picture, which is not helpful in building a business, being desperate, because I was so desperate to find the resources needed to hit the numbers I needed to feel smart, to feel like I mattered in the world. And then I was like signaling to everybody that this is an existential crisis. It's not just something I want to do. It's something I have to do to matter. And so that's been fascinating. So like a total buzzkill, right? I just went like super deep, but
no, I would be curious about that. Like what would define, like what questions would you ask yourself to define that you are in that state where you derive your emotional self-worth from your business? How would you know?
How would you know?
I would ask Claude that.
Yeah.
That's a good
Claude's not here though.
That's right. That's true.
So yeah, let's just formulate the prompt. Adopt the Socratic method. Ask me various questions to get at the root of why I'm working. No, but I think here's one thing So one of my favorite thinkers is Jordan Peterson. Don't cancel me. He's a great dude. So super smart. And one of the things he said was, he said that what we say isn't the truth, but what we do is the truth. And if we can get curious and like humble and honest enough to like actually like be aware of like notice how the things I'm doing, like almost up and out of my body, notice how I'm living my life. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the reasons I knew that my self-worth was too connected to, my business performance, performative self-worth, was because I was looking for a savior. I had this savior complex. I'm like, if I could just find the right person to come into the business, everything will change, right? And they will deliver to me self-worth, which then signaled, and I did this with a fractional CMO like a year ago. I'm like, this is it. This is the holy grail. Like this guy's going to change everything. He's going to like increase our lead volume. Everything's going to work out from here. And what ended up happening was because I was so desperate for it to be successful, because my identity was on the line, I think I non-verbally signaled to him that I'm desperate. This can't fail. You're everything. And
nothing like a little pressure.
I was about to say that's a lot of pressure for a CMO.
Yeah, exactly.
A fractional CMO.
I've been putting that pressure on Spencer for 10 years. It still has not worked.
Delivering. So. I've been delivering every day.
I still feel like crap, so I don't. Clearly, he's not.
Guess what? I feel great.
Wow, Spencer, you can handle the existential pressure of Matt's self-worth.
Do you know how? I just ignore him. That's how.
Be a big boy.
He doesn't come into the office. That's the secret.
That's true.
He's at his house all the time. Unless he's recording something.
A couple months ago, I finished a book about boundaries, and so that's great boundaries with each other. I applaud your boundaries.
So what was that like? So did this person say something to you, Mark? Did this fractional CMO go?
Here's what ended up happening. Like I should have known 3 weeks into the relationship something was wrong, but I kept ignoring it because I kept hearing what I wanted to hear. And believing that, despite a lack of evidence that it was just in fact, I had I'm part of entrepreneur organization. I got paired up with a YPO, Young President Organization mentor. So I'm EO, YPO's up here. The part of the program was they gave me a mentor, and I was meeting with this mentor. Second meeting, he's like, yeah, this isn't your guy. And then and then like I played mind games with myself, and then it took another 8 months for me to like make the decision. And it's because everything that was being said was like exactly what I wanted to hear. And so anyway, so I had to like question, like, why did I behave that way? What was it about that that made me behave so irrationally. It wasn't just like incompetence, like I missed the signals. There was something really fundamental, some psychographic need that was being met by this weird dynamic. And I mean, he's a great guy. He's a great fit for somebody else. I'm not trying to disparage, but it wasn't the right fit for me. And I should have seen it like 8 months before I did. And I'm sure you guys have never done that.
Well,
right?
yeah, totally. I one of the things that I always think about is we're willing to live with paper cuts ad infinitum forever versus dealing with one hard thing, one hard conversation, and then like freedom on the backside of that. It's amazing how many people are just willing to live. There's a great story out there about a dog that's on a front porch, and there's an old man sitting next to the dog, and the dog's like wailing, and somebody walks by and he's like, "What's wrong with your dog, dude?" And the old man says, "Oh, he's laying on a nail."
Oh, shoot.
And he goes, "Well, why didn't he get up and move?" And the old man says, "Well, I guess it doesn't hurt bad enough." And I think we go through life like that very often, where we're laying on the nail. We know we're on the nail, but it doesn't quite hurt bad enough to get up and move. And if we can teach ourselves to, in the moment, go ahead and make those great decisions and move on from the nail, then then we're going to be a much more successful company, much more successful person, much more happier person, right?
You know what? I want to lean into this a little bit because it made me think of two other things. Like as you were describing this, in ultra running, I don't know if you guys know this. I used to run a lot. In ultra running, you'll be like 19 miles into a run, a 30-mile race. Let's say you're 19 miles into a 30-mile race, and there'll be like a rock in your shoe.
But you won't get it. You won't stop and get it.
You will not stop and get the rock.
I would.
I've done that before.
Yes. Okay. So there's this completely irrational sense of being locked into what we think is like momentum.
Yeah.
In a certain sense. And even if it's momentum laying on the porch on a nail.
Yeah. Even if you knew it would save you 10 minutes to take 1 minute to stop and take the rock out of your shoe, it's hard to still stop and take the rock out of your shoe.
Very hard to stop. Yeah. I've had stuff where I had my hydration vest on and there was something messed up and the hose was kinked and I was having to like suck like 5 times as hard to get the water. And all I had to do, pause for 20 seconds and unkink, and I wouldn't do it. Yeah. I'd just be like, all right, I'm rolling with this, and this actually happened in our recording session. And I was actually going to comment on this before now. Like we started today's recording session and I couldn't hear, your buttery, beautiful voices right from your mic. I heard it from like across the room from a MacBook microphone. And I was willing to roll with that rock in my shoe. And you guys stopped. And I was like, man, you're really killing my mojo here. But you stopped. We took the rock out. Yep. So this is like a testament to maybe I'm just giving.
That was Spencer
here.
that did that. Plus, I have the Barry White filter on my voice, so I wanted to make sure that came through loud and clear. I think the other thing, though, you pointed out, which I think is interesting, kind of like a principle that I found as I've grown the business, is everybody thinks if we just get to this point, then we're going to be happy. If I can just get to X, whether it's a door count or a dollar count or if I just have a COO, it's going to make my life so much easier.
Oh, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Wait, are you telling me that
this is your therapy session?
Yep.
What?
This is your therapy session.
Call me Claude.
That's not going to fix everything?
It is shocking because then it's like a whole new set of problems always pop up.
Well, okay. So like that's, people talk about moving the goalposts, I don't mean to be like super fanboy Alex Hormozy, but one other thing that he said like about a year ago that I read, he's like, this is your reminder you've already accomplished all of the goals you had 10 years ago. Yeah. That you thought that you would be totally happy if you ever did.
Yeah, that's the gap in the gain, right? Like you get and we've talked about this book a bunch of times on the show.
I love that book.
Know you've read it as well. I saw where you'd posted some stuff about it, but as achievers, we get so focused on the things we haven't accomplished yet. And to your point, move the goalposts that we don't stop and look back and say, wow, when I was 100 units if I had made it to 1,000 units, like that was, I can remember walking the dog one time a little over a decade ago. And I thought, if I can just get to $1 million of revenue, I mean, I will be a real CEO. That was in my head. Like, you can't be a real CEO until you have $1 million of revenue. And yeah. And today I'm still not happy with where we are. And we've hit that $1 million in revenue mark.
You guys are past $1 million in revenue at this point?
Barely. And half of it is my salary.
That's what we're paying. Yeah, I was about to say we're paying Spencer most of that, but
hey, so here's a question. Here's the follow-on question to this conversation. Two questions. What is the proper locus of self-worth that then enables us to bring our all? Because it's not a crisis to succeed anymore. It's a celebration of who we are and what we want to do with that. Like what is the proper foundation of that place that we can come from, where we're not desperately trying to extract worth from the work, and by the way, in so doing, signaling to everyone around us,
yeah,
that I'm so desperate for self-worth. Please meet my need to be important. What is the right foundation?
I mean, the way I think about it is I think about identity as everything, like who you believe yourself to be. And so I believe we are always doing something or not doing something based on who we believe ourselves to be. So this is one of the things, like you talked about journaling, I have to journal every single morning. Like, this is something I do because I need to examine myself, examine my motives, and realign my beliefs about who I am. And then that way I can come in and do my best, and I can be my best. And you know what? There's always room to grow. I think there's always room to grow. I'm a competitive person. I want to win. And so, but I'm okay with whatever the outcome, as long as I know who I am. And this is how I do it. I just think about my identity is so very important, because everything comes out of that. Like, whether I'm trying to please somebody else, do I want to please other people, or am I going to be okay with who I am, knowing that I want to have goals, I want to grow, and I want to do a lot of things in life. But that's the way I look at it. I just look at identity. It starts there. That to me is the foundation.
When are you going to find out? When are you going to figure out who you are?
I already know who I am.
But you said you have to work on it every day. So you're not there yet?
No, I have to remind myself every day.
He has to keep realigning.
We are so forgetful. I think that's one of the reasons, like in the Bible, you hear the phrase, remember and do not forget, over and over and over again, because we are just forgetful people. And I mean, think about it. Like, you have a lot of people telling you other things. So we get caught in this, like, I'm comparing myself to another business or another person. And so if we're not like coming back to the foundation of like, I'm grounded in my identity, then we fall prey to that stuff. We're like, well, I should be further along because Mark's further along.
It's almost like one of the lies about life is that there's these like arrival points for the most important questions, the most important problems we're solving, and this false expectation that it's figure outable, that to a conclusive end, and then we're done with that problem. It's like the problem or the challenge of like, who am I and where's my worth, is something that is, instead of like, well, man, shouldn't I have already figured that out by now? Because the reason I asked you that question is I've asked myself, like, damn, shouldn't I know who the heck I'm 47, for crying out loud. Like, really? I'm trying to figure this stuff out. But it's like, what I'm arriving at is that not only are the most important questions, it require constant striving that never ends. But also there's this irrational part that I have to like reconcile to, that I thought that it was like a box to check, and I've already learned that, and I already know that, and I've moved on from that. Does that resonate with you guys?
It does. I mean, the way I was going to answer it is, and to quote the great Nick Saban, I mean, you almost have to fall in love with the process and enjoy the process of realigning your every day to who you are, and the grind of growing a business. Like, to me, that's if you just enjoy the process, and this is hard to do because we all get really focused on, you hate to lose an owner. And I still, just like anybody, like I lose an owner, it's like a gut punch. And I get excited when we get an owner. And so, but if you show up every day and do your job, I think, I think a lot of that stuff takes care of itself. And I mean, to Spencer's point, I do a similar thing every morning. And, I just try to daily align myself with who I am. And it seems like I've been watching you on social media, and you've kind of like taken a big step. And it's like, when I figured out I don't care what other people think, all I care about is achieving my goals. All of a sudden there's some freedom associated with that. I know who I am. And if somebody else, recognizes who I am, that's great. But there's a freedom on the other side of, I'm just going to be who I am. And if people don't like that, that's their problem. That's not my problem. I don't have to. And Hormozy does some of that. And so I think there's just a lot of freedom on the backside of knowing who you are and not worrying about it, not worrying about what other people think.
So, I remember Vern Harnish, who wrote Scaling Up. I once heard him talk live here in Phoenix, or maybe it was in the book, and he said, the best companies aren't the best companies by accident. They have the best routines. And, the best lived lives have the best routines. I love that you guys are spending time every morning, right? Doing something intentional that's grounding, that's reconnecting with who you are. I think, and it's, goes back to, being a kid in high school and whatever. Like, I think most people go through this period where not a period, but maybe it's a constant tension of trying to get love and belonging and acceptance from other people. And it just never fills the hole in the heart.
That's the middle school way, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to stick out though. You don't want anybody to know you even exist.
Yeah. And I read one book, I can't remember this book. It said something about, well, that's a good instinct, like functioning in a society where we get along and there's peace and harmony. That's a good instinct, but taken too far, there's a certain desperation that comes into what we're doing, and we can't be present. We can't take the risks we need to take. We can't be courageous. We can't be vulnerable. There's too much at stake. Our identity can't be at stake for us to show up at the highest level. And that's what I'm learning more than I ever have in my life before. And once I check the box and move on, then I'll be able to do great things. It's a daily striving, right? And falling in love with the process, man, we could talk for a long time about that. Because I started going to the gym with my 22-year-old son, who's jacked.
I saw a picture of him. He is jacked.
Clearly, he's in love with the process.
Yeah.
And just yesterday, I'm at the gym lifting heavy stuff, and I'm like, this really sucks.
But you can work out enough you get to the point where if you don't work out, you feel as bad. It bothers you. You feel bad.
It bothers you. That's right.
Okay, so you telling me you guys are in love with the workout process? Can we I would like you to both take your shirts off right now and show me that.
I don't want to embarrass Spencer right here on.
Prove to me that you're. No, that's great. That's great. No, I remember. So Ray Dalio, I don't know if you've read Principles. It's a fantastic book.
I have
Ray
read
Dalio.
I have not read it.
Really?
That book is so dense.
It is.
There's
dense.
2 books. If you buy the hardback, there's.
We've got it. And you
yeah, I've literally got it one
office over.
Yeah.
There's 2 threaded bookmarks, permanent threaded, but it's like they set this up to be the Bible. But one thing Ray Dalio talks about that I love is he talks about first, second, third order consequences, right? Like most of the meaningful things we do in life, we're not doing for the first order consequences. First order consequence example, you go to the gym, you're lifting weights, hurts, takes time. Normally I don't want to hurt and lose time, right? So clearly I'm going to the gym not for first order consequences.
That's right.
I'm going for second order consequences. So there's a paradox here. When you guys talk about Nick Saban, he says like fall in love with the process. Who in the heck falls in love with first order consequences? Help me solve this riddle, because is it that our brain just jumps to the second order consequence? We get addicted to that, or we're creatures of routine? Like, help me understand more about how to hold yourselves to the right routines and falling in love with the process when usually the first order consequences suck.
But hadn't you done this already? I mean, think about ultra running, right? I've run some ultra marathons, and you talking about a process. That's a process.
He quit when he got the rock in his shoe. That was like, didn't get it out. He just fell over like he had a broken leg.
I had a goal to run 100-mile. Now I'm not Tony, who's running the 240 milers.
He's doing that like next week, Moab. Yeah,
the Moab 240. I wanted to run a 100-mile race, and I tore both my meniscus, and so I was like, it's over.
Wait, after you tore the first one, you kept going?
Yeah, well, I did it in the gym doing jumping rope.
He had to find 6 doctors. It was the 6th doctor that finally gave him
they wanted to cut me open, and I said no, and so I just let this one heal, and I was doing jump ropes again and tore the other one. So I was like,
oh, wow.
But to Spencer's point, you have done this, right? Like you've fallen in love with the process of running.
You have to. And it's a grind. Yeah. It's not really enjoyable. Like, who wants to get out when it's
But I actually think it is. I think at some point it like flips.
It does at some point,
and the grind becomes enjoyable.
This is the thing. I always told myself I hated running. Like, I hated running. That's why I did CrossFit type workouts, because there wasn't a lot of running in it. Then COVID happened, and I was at the house with some weights, and I was like, I need to get some cardio in. So I started running. I have about 2 miles in my neighborhood. So I started running a mile. Then I started running 2 miles. And then I started going, well, I could probably run 5 or 10 miles. So I started just running a little bit. And then my identity changed. And I said, well, I actually am a runner. I started running 10 miles and 15 miles and 20 miles and 30. And it all changed, but it had to change up here. And I don't think I did end up falling in love with it. I enjoyed it. I started running like every morning, and then we go to the gym. Yeah. And it was like, wow, this is so incredible. But I hated it, and I just had to get through. You had to kind of get over the hump.
You have to get through the hate. You have to get through the hate part.
That's right.
And here's the thing that I've learned: that your brain doesn't want to make a bunch of decisions every day, and so your brain just wants to run on autopilot. So, you've heard that, you form your habits form you. What I have found is the more you can create the habits in your life that your body and your brain just runs on autopilot. One of the things that makes it so hard, it's not the actual workout that's so hard when you're getting started. It is getting to the gym. If you just get to the gym, you'll lift a weight. So it's not actually, it's the fact that you don't want to go to the gym. And so if you just remove the decision and you're on autopilot, you don't even think about going to the gym. Your brain just goes to the gym because that's what you do at 7:30 or 11:30 or what time. Then all of a sudden, all these habits become so much easier. In fact, your body actually gets frustrated when you break the habit because I'm out of routine. Like, what's going on here? And so that's what I found. Yeah, sorry.
Stephen Covey, no, it's perfect. Stephen Covey says that, he pointed out, because he was a big habits guy, right? And he pointed out that like 85% of the fuel spent on the entire round trip to the moon and back of a rocket trip, 85% of the fuel spent in the first 8 minutes getting out of orbit.
Yep.
And it's like, and then it also made me think when you're talking just now, Matt, about the book, Getting Things Done. By the way, sometimes my staff keeps a tally of how many books I reference.
I appreciate you doing it. I always get frustrated when somebody acts like it's their original idea.
Thank you. Because somebody told me recently, somebody told me a few months ago, like, Mark, quit sourcing all your sites, like whatever, it's your knowledge now. And I was like, no, like really, thoughts are things. And they deserve a reference. Sure. But in Getting Things Done, I think it was the book, Getting Things Done, is like, sometimes you got to chunk something down to like the very next micro step, because like you said, your brain doesn't want to think, at all. Like just thinking about like, how do I approach this problem is way harder
Yeah.
than doing the work in the problem.
Yeah, we have a principle here that says thinking. We actually wrote our own principles out in an homage to Ray Dalio, and one of them is thinking is hard work. Like it is hard work. Like if people can't sit with themselves for 30 or 45 minutes or an hour and think through hard problems and get deep on hard problems without picking up their phone and checking Slack or checking emails or checking text messages.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's a huge problem because if you can't just sit with your thoughts, you're not going to solve hard problems, with quick bursts of thinking. You're going to solve hard problems by going deep and being focused. Charlie Munger says that most of his success can be traced back to his ability to focus for long periods of time.
Can we riff on this? Because I'm fascinated about this. Number one, I want to ask you, like, how do you do your best thinking? Like, how do you get into that thinking mode? And number two, how do you protect, especially you guys at the level you're at, how do you protect your time in a way that allows for that deep thinking? Like, what kind of a time block is required? Because it is almost intolerably painful for me to think, as I'm diving into some deep thinking, that I could be interrupted at any moment.
Yeah.
How do you create space for that, and how do you get into that mode? Because I think that's where the magic happens, and I think most people don't think.
Yeah, I will tell you, for me, it is scheduled, and I'll also tell you, as the organization gets bigger, it requires less of me in the business, and the thing that I have to do for the organization is make great decisions. And the only way to make great decisions is not to have back-to-back meetings. Now, there are days like that, Tuesday through Thursday, but I've got special time on Monday, and I do more proactive thinking. So like I'm doing something. I always found that I thought better if I'm doing something like walking or driving, or like my wife gets so frustrated because I can just drive in the car
with nothing on.
No
And
clothes?
Yeah, no clothes. I've only gotten arrested a couple times.
Tinted windows.
But I could go hours and be quiet and just think while we're driving. And so that's how I do it. It's more proactive is what I would say. Walks.
I was about to say, I can't be in front of a computer. Essentially, I can have an iPad because I write I journal in my iPad, so I can have an iPad, and so I do that every morning, like in my personal quiet time. But then,
journaling's kind of proactive thinking too, right? Like
there is no doubt.
The act of writing,
that's right, it is, and you
proactive.
remember more when you write stuff down. So that's why I love writing. But then
you remember your own quotes. You're like, golly, that was great. That was an awesome quote that
I just
said.
This, or did Ray Dalio say this? I can't remember. I guess I said it.
Or did Mark Brower say it?
Or Mark Brower did.
Spencer, your staff like marks down how many times you quote yourself in a meeting.
And you know what?
The
I said this one
philosopher
time.
Spencer Sutton
I
once
said this one time. That's right. But getting out in front of the computer, like here in the office, I've got a chair that's separate from my desk. And if I go sit down there, it's better. And then if I write on my whiteboard away from my computer, it's a lot better. Like just being away from the computer, no Slack, no phone. That's
thankfully he keeps his clothes on while he thinks.
So and then it sounds like, Matthew, you don't have anything Mondays and Fridays. So that's kind of like more free, like thinking time, like uninterrupted, like generally speaking.
Yeah, there's
right?
There's a great podcast out there with Tim Ferriss and Gary Keller. Gary Keller wrote the book One Thing. Started Keller Williams. You've probably read the book. It's one of one of the 3 books that we give people when they start here. It's like, hey, if you can just solve your one thing consistently every day, we're going to be super successful here. But he actually talks about how he sets up his day. And to some degree, I try to do that as well. The morning is all about my priorities. And then in the afternoon, I kind of let other people drive the priorities. Now, that changes a little bit based on what's going on with the organization. But to some degree, you can set up your week like that. Like, hey, Mondays and Fridays are my day, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays I can kind of let the organization drive what I'm going to do. But I think, the first thing you've got to do, obviously, is schedule it.
Yeah. Almost sounds like Tuesday, Wednesday. I almost kind of like it when somebody else is driving my time and priorities, because then I can switch the thinker, like the decision part of my thinker off, and I can just show up and then try to sound smart and then go on to the next thing.
Yep.
No follow-up to that. No
I know, but I know what you
mean. Hey, Mark, thanks for steering us into a dead end. All right, let's back this thing up and let's talk about something else.
All right, let's wrap the podcast after that.
I think those meetings are better in the afternoon, because in the one thing Gary Keller talks about, having the willpower. And so like Matthew setting his most important priorities in the morning, because willpower, he says in the book, willpower is like a muscle. And so the more you use it, making decisions, resisting temptation, et cetera, it just drains like a battery. So at the end of the evening, and this is when I have a problem eating, is I'll always I'll eat a healthy dinner, but I want chips or I want ice cream or something like that. Just your willpower.
That's a habit too. Like your brain's like, all right, ice cream time.
Yeah,
where's the sugar?
100%.
I was shocked. Oh, yeah. I love ice cream. So the thing is, I'll either eat a lot of it or none of it. So I just have to choose. I cannot have one of my favorite foods. But it was like my birthday, and I had ice cream and
red velvet cake.
I'll tell you. Let me take another funny story. I'm gonna take a spin right here. It was my birthday one time, and I had a whole half gallon of Bluebell ice cream in 2 days. And then and this is after not eating ice cream for probably at least a year. The next day, this breaking news, listeria breakout in Bluebell factory. And I was like, the one half gallon I eat, I'm going to die. But going back to the original story is even just one time, the next day after you eat it, now all of a sudden my brain's like, all right, go get some ice cream. And I'm like, wow, bad habit can form in one day.
You can't tell the difference. It's not that big a deal. These are the excuses you say. You know what?
100%.
I worked out already this morning. I ran. I did this.
That's exactly what went through my head last night. So a couple months ago, I don't know, I was talking to my friend. You guys know Peter Lohman. We've become friends.
Who?
He only gets mentioned every show we have. I don't know that we can do
We're cutting that out. I'm cutting Peter's name
do
out.
Do a podcast without Peter's name.
Do that again and make up a different name. Go. And action.
My good friend, PL, was talking to me recently, and he's like, I don't know how we got on the topic, but he confessed his love for Reese's Peanut Butter Cup Blizzards, and that's my favorite. I felt like Nacho Libre. That's my favorite thing to do too. and then now every day when I'm driving home, there's a stinking Dairy Queen on my route. And he told me, he's like, yeah. I said, how many times a week do you get a Blizzard? Because I'm trying to gauge, and he's like 2-3 times. So now I've got permission.
So the guy takes a month off. He gets to eat Blizzards 3 times a week. Who is this guy?
I want his business. I want to buy him today.
We all want to die and reincarnate as Peter Lohman.
Are you a member of Crane?
I'm a member of Crane.
Okay, good. Yeah. Do you think that with, you got Crane, you have Tony Klein has a group, you got these different groups growing. How do you think that impacts NARPM?
Well, I think you're asking me which one I get the most self-worth from. Is that the question?
Or value?
Value.
Sure.
So I was at Peter Lohman. I was at Tony's Onyx retreat in Keystone, Colorado, 10,000 feet. And it was great. It was a super cool format, really intimate, professional chef. Oh my gosh. I came, my stomach hurt because I'm not spoiled, because it's wait, we were waiting for fast food. What are you doing? Sending all this good stuff down here. But it was amazing because it was just a smaller format, spending all day with the same people, getting kind of deep. That was tremendous, because you don't get that at a conference at all. And then Crane, Crane has all kinds of stuff. It's got the adventures, the excursions. He's like layering all this crazy value into it. Now the latest partner is Enterprise, where now, because I'm a Crane member, I don't have to pay the analysis fees each month, which probably saves me $500 a month, which more than pays for Crane. And Enterprise can pay your Crane subscription. And then he just rolled out Crane Pass. Like, so I'm really a lot of respect for Peter and like how he's layering the value in what on the surface seems like a very expensive mastermind community. And it's like, if you take advantage of it, you're getting all of it back. He just unlocked this thing where after you achieve like 4 things, one of them is being like taking that freedom break for a Crane break for a full month, then you get lifetime Crane at half off. So it's like I'm getting a lot of value from it. I think it's a really interesting case study on community building and bringing value, like specific niched into an industry.
What can NARPM learn from it, and how can they up their game, you think?
Well, I got stopped on that question when after the words, what can NARPM learn? Like my brain just stopped right there. So I don't know how to answer the rest of the question.
Have you taken well, again, I thought you weren't going to answer it, so I was going to help you out there.
Go ahead, help me out.
Have you taken your month off yet?
I've taken like 3 weeks off, but I only have the pin and it's a different colored pin, right? So if I take 2 weeks off,
he shames you if you don't get your month.
Who shames you with your horrible pin? Oh, you're a rookie. You're a rookie.
It's like a big scarlet letter on his chest.
That does it. Starting tomorrow, a month off for me.
Spencer.
I'm not even a member.
Peter, send him a pen, an honorary pen.
It's a green, it's a green border if you take a full month off. I'm not there yet. I could have pulled it off. I think my team's fantastic, and we're small. We're 580 doors, and I've got the director of ops that's been with me for almost a decade, and so like he's great, and I trust him, and so I could do it, and I probably should this year, and but yeah, it's a really cool concept. I get a lot of value out of it, and here's one thing, like I think when you approach like a mastermind community, one of the most important mindsets we could bring to it is, what can I contribute, right? And that's with anything. But heaven forbid somebody comes in a Crane or some kind of a mastermind community and they say like, all right, where's my value? Because when you come in and you say like, hey, what are my gifts and talents and how can I share those with maximum benefit to the people around me? Guess what? The people in that group can bless your life 10x, 20x, you know. It's not the program itself, it's the people you meet. And why not do something to contribute to them so that there's a blank check in your back pocket and you can go cash that for a favor. It's like, it's not transactional, but that should be the mindset. And there's a deep well of benefit there among Crane members, I would say.
Yeah, that's the law of reciprocity. We're talking about that too as a leader. How important it is for me not to think about, well, what are the benefits of being a leader for me? And what do I get out of being a leader? And how can I get all the accolades? And, how
the perks versus the price.
Yeah. And how do I, the book's called Leader Shift, and it's by John Maxwell. And how do you refocus from because you're going to get the perks if you're willing to pay the price for your team. And, how can I add value to them? So it's very similar. Like there's so many things in life where you think it's one way. It's like, how can I extract the most value? But the truth is, when you turn it around and give, which is counterintuitive, right? How can I give more? You ultimately end up getting more as a result of that. So
that's the second and third order consequences. Like the more I think and learn about life and experience life and actually, it's like law of the harvest, right? Like what you sow, you will reap. It's like if we can start orienting all of our thinking and behavior towards second and third order consequences, now we're playing a scaled game, right? Mm-hmm. This is not quid pro quo. This is not transactional anymore. We're planting seeds that don't sprout today, but when they sprout, it's like 100x sprouting and harvesting.
Yep. And that's going back to what we were talking about earlier, which is the process. I think of seed planting. I tell my team, like, don't measure based on the harvest you're reaping today. Everybody wants to watch the scoreboard and see how much we're harvesting. The truth is, every day we should be measuring how many seeds are we planting, because we can't dictate when it's gonna rain, when it's gonna be sunny, when these things are gonna grow. But all we can dictate is keep putting seed out, because we know at some point it's going to rain, and at some point it's going to be sunny, and at some point we're going to have a harvest. But the times in my life where I feel like I've quit planting seeds, always got to harvest time and wish I had planted more.
Right, that's right. I mean, just think about it. It's what you do with your kids, right? You don't quit on them. You keep planning and you keep planning and you keep, and then eventually when they leave the house, you're like, you see the fruit of what you've taught them all those years.
Yeah.
And
I'm hoping.
It can be a beautiful thing.
I'm hoping. My first one just left.
I'm a little bit further along than you are. So, yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. Post-production, can I request that your team puts a little counter for how many book references we had on here and keeps score between you guys and me? Because
if I knew we were keeping score, I was going to rattle off a couple
killed
more.
You. We would have just crushed you.
Going to rattle off.
It'd be two versus one. So what's as we kind of start to wrap up here, Mark? Tell me, and we hadn't really talked about our businesses.
I thought this was going to be like a 3-hour Joe Rogan style.
We could, but my brain power's fading fast.
Spencer's been in here creating content all day. This is my first one.
That's right. I think Mark creates more content than I do, which is
he definitely does.
That's my entire job, and he's still doing it.
I know, and he just hits play. That's the secret.
You saw me publish my metrics on LinkedIn. Yeah, you gave me props. on
that.
Yeah,
I did.
Like 30,000 views.
Yeah, look at my rookie numbers. I had like 5,000 views. Yeah. I got to up my LinkedIn.
I got up to 80,000 one week.
What have you gotten up to? You had a pretty good one.
I had one kind of like viral thing that happened years ago. I forget what it was though. I did have the addiction of opening it up and watching it grow, which I know LinkedIn loves.
Sure.
Right? They
were
want
like,
you to come
we
back.
got him.
It's
we got him.
Oh yeah, give me another shot of that
affirmation.
Dopamine. Yeah, that
dopamine.
Dopamine, yes, thank you.
That's right.
Almost said cortisol, but that's the opposite.
That's the opposite.
So
Spencer, you were going somewhere.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, where do you see yourself and your business 5-10 years down the road?
Wherever God wants it to be. I truly want to show up and use my gifts and talents in his service. And right now, for me, that's helping good people do more good. That's our purpose. And, I tell my team all the time, look, we're trading our best hours of our days, best days of our lives. We're coming here together. We better make it worth it. Better be more than a paycheck. Let's make it matter. And I think that we live in a broken world. And what the world needs more than anything is for good people to have more resources. And so it's our honor to lower the stress of being a landlord to a tolerable level for some, not most, but some who will stay in the asset class for decades and have that compounding effect, that wealth building effect that puts more money in the hands of good people. And when that happens, I feel grateful and honored to be part of that process, because when that happens, they build better families, better communities, they build family legacy. They take amazing family legacy value transfer, once in a lifetime vacations and family reunions later in life. If I can be a small part of making that happen for good people, what an honor. And it, you know what, if it happens for one person, and that's what I'm trying to realize and lean into is if I write the best newsletter I think I've ever written, and I want all these emails and all these accolades and whatever, that's the wrong thing. If I can channel something that comes through me that's from a higher power, and it changes one person, not even today. I just posted a couple days ago on LinkedIn that I right now framed in my room have a letter from 1990 from Mrs. Casey, hand typed from a typewriter when I graduated from 6th grade. And I knew she loved me, and she loved all of her students. And she said, hey, essentially, it's on LinkedIn. You can go look at it. There's so much I wish I could have taught you. I handpicked a poem from one of my favorite authors, from one of my favorite poets that I hope has personal meaning and significance to you. I'm going to start crying. Sorry. And I think it like 35 years later, it's sitting in my room. And so I think, I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I think the power of focusing on just making an impact on one person is huge. And using our God-given gifts and talents and time to be useful to him and to try to create value, and then understand and know, like fully know every day, and remind ourselves that our value comes from him, and that we have the honor of sharing that with other people. That's where I want to be in 5 to 10 years. Sorry if that's too abstract, but that's where I'm going.
No, I love that. I love that because what you were saying there, you kind of have maybe a marketing message around that, which is like your wealth builder program is kind of what I see. That it's like, hey, this is serious. It's not like just for landlords who are like churn and burn. It's like wealth
legacy building.
It's legacy building. That's right.
It's family legacy building. The clients that love us the most, that I love the most. No, not discriminating against people that don't fit this, but I love being the hero for believer parent leaders, and I want to help them. Attract them. They attracted to me. Whatever, we work together. If I can be their partner on helping fund family legacy through real estate, I think that's one of the reasons I'm on this spinning blue ball, traveling through space at unbelievable speed.
That's awesome. All right, Mark. This has been great, man. Great catching up. We didn't even really do an intro. I probably need to go back and record that.
He doesn't need an intro.
We should.
We'll just completely Joe Rogan it.
We're gonna piecemeal like random post production. My request is piecemeal random like completely disparate comments about like pictures of hairdos on walls and like Ray Hespin and like all this stuff, and then people be thoroughly confused.
Yeah, confused and entertained. That's the hope.
Maybe they'll listen. We know Ray will listen.
That's right.
If we kick it off with that.
Ray and Peter.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to seeing you guys hopefully next month later this month at NARPM National, if you're going to be there, and appreciate everything you do and all that you stand for. You guys are two of my heroes in the industry. So keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for coming on. All right, everybody. That's it for this episode of the Evernest Property Management Show. We'll be back next week with a new episode. Brought to you by Liquid Death.